Welcome to Hannity. Today is day 35 of the Democrats' secret Soviet-style impeachment coup attempt. Although it's really been their goal, think about it, from the day that we, the people, elected Donald Trump as president. Breaking just moments ago, the Democratic Party may be starting to fracture. Look at this. At least one Democratic congressman now reportedly planning to oppose his party's latest unfair, which we'll explain, impeachment measure. We'll have a full report tonight from Capitol Hill. But first, another day of secret meetings, secret hearings, secret transcripts, a secret whistleblower, non-whistleblower, hearsay whistleblower, all because of a phone call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine. But tonight, let me just cut to the chase here. None of this really, in truth, matters. The fake whistleblowers' thoughts, their feelings don't matter. Anonymous sources don't matter. Witnesses to the phone call, they don't matter. None of this circus that Democrats are now dragging the entire country through matters because we have the actual transcript. It is public, and it shows no misconduct whatsoever by the president. The transcript not only exonerates the president, but it clearly features a president of the United States upholding his sworn duty to execute the laws of the United States and investigate foreign election interference. So nothing the Democrats have supposedly cared about for 3 years all of a sudden matters. By the way, there was even a court decision in Ukraine, and that found that their government interfered in our 2016 elections in an effort to help Hillary Rodham Clinton. I thought Democrats cared about foreign interference in our elections. According to a very credible report from Politico, this is January 11, 2017, they went into specificity and detail how Ukraine worked in concert with the DNC in 2016 to smear Donald Trump and help elect Hillary Clinton. In other words, the DNC literally colluded with Ukraine, how ironic, to help Clinton win and to hurt Donald Trump. Now, asking a country, in this case Ukraine, to cooperate in an investigation, that's actually not a crime. It's not bribery, not a misdemeanor, it's certainly not treason. It's actually the president's job to faithfully uphold and execute the laws of the land. That is his oath, that is his constitutional obligation. But the leader now of this new witch hunt, we have the corrupt, compromised, coward, and congenital liar, Adam Schiff. He wants you to believe something much different. Schiff, who won't come on this show to defend himself, he goes on every other show, has zero fidelity to truth. He is a pathetic liar. And for 3 years, he has worshipped at the altar of his impeachment lies. It's constant lies. He's got all the evidence we'd ever need about Russia collusion. It was a hoax, a conspiracy theory. Lies didn't work out. Now let's try Ukraine. It's an evolving narrative, they're now calling it. In other words, you have the coward Schiff trying really hard to get his lies straight. Remember, first, according to Schiff, there were multiple direct quid pro quos from the president's call with the Ukrainian president. Then the president released the transcript. That proved to be a lie, too, that allegation. And when Ukraine's president and their foreign minister both said they felt zero pressure whatsoever. Well, then there's Schiff. He claimed that it was some kind of behind-the-scenes effort then to shake down Ukraine over time by withholding aid. But when we found out the money was actually released without any conditions whatsoever and that the Ukrainian government didn't even know that the money was delayed at the time of the call, Schiff had to change his narrative again, calling in witness after witness, but only behind closed doors, without real Republican due process at all, to speculate on the president's intentions. You know what? You know who hasn't testified? Interesting. They're not talking anymore about the so-called whistleblower, non-whistleblower, who started the entire process. Now, why is it? Because Schiff's office, we now know, was in contact, apparently even advising him from the very beginning. Now, Republicans, if we ever get that guy under oath, well, they'll be asking a lot of questions about that. And that guy's supporter, Joe Biden. Now, they told him that apparently, according to reports, to get a lawyer. They encouraged him to file a complaint with the inspector general. And that means Schiff is a fact witness in the case. He blatantly lied about this coordination, as we've proven on TV. Schiff is compromised. He's a fact witness in the case in which he is now presiding. He should recuse himself. He is compromised, corrupt, a coward, and a congenital liar. That's who's leading the new witch hunt. So today, when Democrats said they were alarmed by the testimony of Alexander Vindman, a national security expert, I understand a war hero. Thank you, sir, for serving our country. He was on the phone call. But the problem is, keep in mind, the Democrats' interpretation of his interpretation of the phone call. But we don't need his interpretation because we have the transcript. It doesn't matter, frankly, with all due respect, and I mean that sincerely, what he or anybody else thinks. It's all feigned outrage. They're acting outraged. Wow, somebody else interpreted it the sick way we do, or the corrupt way we do. Okay, well, that's their interpretation. But as a matter of law, even the Department of Justice investigation concluded today, no collusion. There was nothing wrong, nothing illegal about the president's call. But the corrupt Democrats, they could not care less. You have Schiff, you have Pelosi. They're now ready for phase 2 of their impeachment coup attempt. And today they cooked up a resolution. I got it right here in front of me. It's not worth the paper that it's printed on. I wasted paper. I hurt trees in the process. That would make their coup proceedings public. One big catch. When you actually read the document, which I've done, well, there's one huge, massive, gigantic caveat that the compromised congenital liar, Adam Schiff, and his fellow Democrats, they actually can veto any Republican attempt to call witnesses, subpoena evidence, and pretty much anything else. They need the compromised Schiff's approval for everything. And maybe that's why Nancy Pelosi is refusing to call this an official impeachment resolution. Take a look.
Madam Speaker, can we have you talk about the impeachment resolution?
It's not an impeachment resolution.
I guess Pelosi and I can agree on one thing. It's not an impeachment resolution. This is not what Newt Gingrich offered Bill Clinton in 1998. His process was actually really fair. She doesn't want to mirror that. What this is smoke and mirrors. They're trying to make you think it is something that it is not. It is not fair. It is not what Newt Gingrich offered to Clinton. It's anything but fair. Now, what this really is a massive fishing expedition in the hopes that any cooked-up allegation might stick. And then we'll impeach him. We don't know on what, but we'll impeach him then. It is a fraudulent, it is an unconstitutional show trial devoid of all due process. It is illegitimate. It's an impeachment coup attempt run by a corrupt, compromised, congenital liar who's been hell-bent on destroying the presidency of Donald Trump, regardless of truth, logic, common sense, reason, and facts. And now, breaking just moments ago, at least one Democrat apparently is breaking rank. NBC News reporting that New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew will likely vote against the impeachment measure. It's important to note, Van Drew is one of 31 Democrats. They represent districts who voted for Donald Trump in 2016.